If your company is in trouble and you think that the insolvency practitioner is there to mop your brow, wipe your arse, and give you a cuddle, you are in big trouble. And here is what most directors don't realize. An insolvency practitioner is not there to work for you. They don't work for your company. They're not there to support you and tell you everything's going to be okay. They work for your creditors. They represent HMRC, suppliers, banks, and their job is to recover as much money as possible for creditors and to investigate the conduct of the directors. I have seen directors fall apart after they appoint the wrong insolvency practitioner. And I've seen others get through what is a really challenging time in their life okay and walk out the other side. And it's because they have the right guidance, they were prepared, and they understood what questions to ask. Now, this video, I'm going to show you exactly what to expect from an insolvency practitioner, how to stay protected, and what most directors get badly wrong. So, what you're going to learn in the video, by the end of the video, hopefully you're going to know what an insolvency practitioner actually does and who they work for. What happens the moment you appoint one, what they investigate and what powers that they have, what the red flags are for you when it comes to personal risk, and what you need to prepare before you sign with any insolvency practitioner. And I always follow it up with our 5-step director first plan to protect yourself and exit safely. Now, if you've never dealt with an insolvency before, this might be one of the most important things that you're ever going to watch on YouTube today. Now, let's start simple. What's an insolvency practitioner? Now, an insolvency practitioner or liquidator or IP is a licensed professional authorized to act on behalf of insolvent companies and individuals. They are regulated and they are bound by law. Okay. What they're not is there's no such thing as a friendly liquidator, and they're not there to cuddle you. Okay. They're not there to put their arm around you and get you the best deal. Okay. Now, that's not to say there are some great insolvency practitioners out there, really, really good ones. Okay. But when your company enters either liquidation, administration, or a CVA, the insolvency practitioner's job is to investigate what happened. They are there to identify any assets that can be recovered, including money you owe the company. I'll come on to that a little bit later. Once they've understood are there any assets to be recovered here, their job is to get that money in and distribute some of the funds to creditors. Obviously, not you. And even if you are a creditor, it's highly likely you'll be right down at the bottom of the list. Highly likely you'll get nothing back. Their job is to get the most money in for creditors, and they have a legal authority to do this. Okay. Their job is to demand repayment of overdrawn directors' loan accounts. If they've spotted any preference payments that you've made, their job is to reverse that. If you've sold assets, they are going to investigate how you've sold those assets. They're going to investigate what you sold them for, okay? And if they find that you've sold them for less than they're worth, they're going to reverse them and they're going to come to you, okay? They're going to submit reports on your conduct, okay? And most directors, they assume an insolvency practitioner is there to help them through the process. And some are better than others, okay? There are some that are really director focused and they give a really good service. I'm not digging them people out, okay? But a lot of them don't. They don't really want to do any work until you pay them and appoint them. And that's where we're a little bit different. It's what we're here for. We're here to help you understand everything. Like, we'll put so much work into you without asking a penny to help you understand your position and get all your questions answered. Now, let's talk about who appoints an insolvency practitioner, because there are two ways an insolvency practitioner gets appointed. The first one is called voluntary, and it's by the directors, okay? And this happens when a company is become insolvent and the director decides that they want to do a voluntary appointment. And that could be an insolvent, a liquidation, it could be an administration, it could be a C. The insolvency practitioner yourself, you've got more control, okay? You can actually choose who you work with. And this is quite strange because if you think about the dynamic of insolvency, you're choosing a professional to work for the opposite side. So, like an accountant, you want an accountant to advise you on your best interests, as you do a solicitor, as you do a financial advisor. But in insolvency, that doesn't happen. That insolvency practitioner that you appoint voluntarily is actually going to represent HMRC, banks, suppliers. Now, knowing this information, you can use it to your advantage, which I'm going to come on to later on. Okay. Now, the thing is, when you appoint someone voluntarily, you can sort of prepare everything. You can manage risk before that they get appointed. And what I mean by that is you can get them to dive into what are the problems for you personally if this all goes wrong. Okay. And a good insolvency firm will do that. They'll do a ton of work for you without asking any money. And that allows you to manage risks before they investigate. This is always better. Now, a compulsory liquidation, it's by your creditors. Generally, normally it's HMRC where they've not got money off you. They've tried to get the cash over a period of time. And eventually they've gone, well, we're not getting anywhere here. We're going to wind this company up. Now, when this happens, it's a creditor who forces the liquidation. Okay. And in these cases, you've got zero control because the official receiver gets appointed. If you don't deal with the winding up petition, that's another video. The official receiver gets appointed and it's a public body. Okay, so there's no commerciality about them, and they will literally hold you over the coals. And the first thing that they're going to say is you've not behaved properly as a director because you was insolvent for some time and you decided not to act. Now, whether it's an insolvency practitioner or the official receiver, this is what they look at first. When they get appointed, this is what they're going to do in the first sort of 2 to 3 weeks. They're going to review your conduct. They're going to look at how long you traded while you was insolvent, if you made any payments that favored certain creditors. So let's say you paid your Auntie Mildred back 2 weeks before you liquidated and you didn't pay anything to HMRC, or you paid a big funding circle loan back that was personally guaranteed. They're also going to have a look at see if you've transferred any assets to yourself, your spouse, a connected company. So let's say there was a load of vans that had no finance on them and you've sold them before you appointed the liquidator. Now, you can sell assets before you appoint a liquidator, but you must sell them for what they're worth, a fair market value. An insolvency practitioner is going to check to see if you've sold any assets undervalued. It's called a transaction undervalued. And they're also going to check what you've taken out of the company. Okay. Now, they'll do that from your bank statements, and they're going to have a look at everything that you've taken out since your last set of accounts, and they're going to raise queries against them. And they're also going to check to see if you've acted in the best interest of creditors. And then they submit this director's conduct report to the insolvency service. Now, this could lead to disqualification. It can lead to personal claims. It can lead to legal action. Okay. But it's a job that they've got to do. Okay. Another thing they're going to do, step 2, is they're going to review the business accounts, and they're going to check for overdrawn directors' loan accounts. They're going to check for undeclared dividends. They're going to check all the irregular large payments that have gone out of that account. I want to dig into this, right? Because this is where you get stung. A director thinks they're okay to take money out of the business. Okay. The easy example that I'm going to say is, let's say they're on $5,000 a month. So 60 grand a year, not a massive amount of money to run a business. And that is made up of 12 grand a year salary, and the rest they take as a drawing. Okay. Now, you probably call it a dividend, right? The mistake you're making there is it's only a dividend at the end of the year when your accountant does your accounts, sees that there's a profit and declares a dividend. Now, where directors get bitten in the arse regularly is they don't understand this. And that last year that they've been trading, they've took the 60 grand, they've been insolvent for over 12 months, and 48 grand of it gets converted to a director's loan account. And the insolvency practitioner then asks them to repay it once the insolvency practitioner has been appointed. Now, as I've said, they're just doing the job. Like, I have no issues with that happening. That's exactly what they're meant to do as per their responsibilities as an insolvency practitioner. The issue that I have is a good firm. This is what we do. It's where we're really different is we'll do all this work up front without charging you a penny with no obligation. We'll help you understand your director's loan position. And then we'll go, right, this is a problem if you go into insolvency. So what we now need to work out is how can you repay it back? And if you can't repay it back, what type of settlement will be accepted by the insolvency practitioner? And we do all this before you make a decision, okay? What other firms do is they skirt over this. They don't talk about it. They'll say, we'll deal with it once we're appointed. But once you've appointed them, you can't change it. Like you are in, I say it all the time. It's like dancing with a gorilla. You will finish the dance when the gorilla is finished and not a moment sooner. So you've got to use your power here. If you're worried about directors' loan accounts, you must understand them and get deals done in principle before you appoint an insolvency practitioner. Now, there is a little caveat here, okay? That an insolvency practitioner cannot formally accept an offer on your director's loan account until they've been appointed. But they can, in principle, review everything with you, see what type of realization they make in bankruptcy. I know that word scares you, but the reason, as long as they can get a better realization making you bankrupt, they should accept the proposal. And remember, it's bloody costly to make somebody bankrupt. Now, I'll just give you an example, and I get this all the time. So I'll get people ring me and they'll lead with a question, Chris, what does it cost to liquidate? It's the first red flag. And I'll say to you, listen, let me review everything before we give you a final cost. And I'll check on company's house. I'll ask for a balance sheet and I'll know that they've got a director's loan account. And I'm like, listen, your problem is not what this is going to cost to liquidate, right? That's not the consideration. You need to be understanding what this is going to cost you in total, okay? And I do all this work, and like I say, I might come out with a figure based on their house. Well, this is going to cost you 25 grand in total. And it scares the life out of them. And then they speak to another insolvency person and they say, no, we'll get you into liquidation for 3 grand. And they're uneducated and they go with a 3 grand liquidation. And then the insolvency practitioner goes, no, actually, you're 100 grand in your director's loan account. You better pay it, or we're going to make you bankrupt. And I get a message and email every single day, maybe not every day, but multiple times a week. People who watch my stuff on YouTube didn't find me the first time around, and they're being chased for directors' loan accounts by insolvency practitioners. And again, they're just doing the job. I don't have an issue with that whatsoever. Where we're different and where I think the industry needs to be better is to let directors know about what problems there are, including directors' loan accounts, before a director makes a decision. That's all I'm saying. Now, a lot of these directors, they think the insolvency practitioner who they've chose for 3 grand is going to close the company and they're going to protect them. Listen, that's not their job. That they're not there to protect you. And listen, our job is to advise you. If you've done something wrong, we can't protect you, but we can tell you what the problem is and we can tell you how to mitigate the issues, right? And what we'll do is we'll let you know everything up front. And that's the difference. We'll say, we will show you anything that's going to bite you on the arse personally before you make a decision, okay? Now, I'll tell you about a recent job that we've dealt with, a lady called Yasmin. She had a design agency, okay? She built up a director's loan account of £250,000. Okay. Now, she'd already spoke to another firm. They didn't mention it. They literally weren't talking about it. And I got on the call to her at the last minute. She'd seen some of my content. And I said, just calm down here. I says, you're not ready to make a decision on this yet. I says, because you have got, now in the last set of accounts, the director's loan account was about 150 grand, but the accounts were 18 months out of date. And I says, you know that you're with the company 150 grand. And I says, and what's more, have you paid yourself since those last set of accounts? And she continued to draw money out of the business. So I looked at a balance sheet on Zero, which was up to date, thankfully, and she owed the company 250 grand. And the other firm hadn't even mentioned it. So what we did, we goes, right, well, what are your proposals to pay this? Like, the lady's in tears at this stage. She has no idea how she's going to pay this. And I said, well, calm down. What we need to do is we need to understand what your personal net worth position is. So we went through all her assets, and she owned a family home. Okay, her and her husband, they had kids. It was worth about 500 grand, and it had about 300,000 pounds as a mortgage. So you're thinking, oh gosh, she's got 200 grand equity. She's done for. She's going to have to pay most of it back. But she also had credit card debt. She also had loans. She also had some self-assessment that she hadn't paid. So what we actually did is, to make this lady bankrupt, it probably would have cost about 50,000 quid. Okay. So once you factor in, there was 200 grand equity. Well, only 100 grand of it's hers, because Yasmin's husband has got nothing to do with the business. So she's got 100 grand equity. Well, she had about 40 grand's worth of personal debt. And it would have cost 50 grand to actually make her bankrupt. So that 40 or 50 grand, let's say it cost her 50 grand to make her bankrupt. There's 50 grand left that's going to be spread out amongst all the creditors. Anyway, she got a deal done. She's paying it over 6 months, and she got it accepted at 15,000 quid. Okay. And the key thing that she did right is she went with the right firm, and we did all this work for her without charging her, without asking her any commitment. Now, the skeptic in me, if she'd have gone to another firm, and I've seen this all the time happen all the time, is they would have chased her for years and years and years and years, and they would, a lot of stress, threats of bankruptcy, threats of losing the house. Now, again, they're doing the job here. I'm not digging anyone out for doing the job. What I'm saying is that director should have been advised better pre-appointment before they made the decision. So the result for Yasmin was she didn't get made disqualified. She didn't get made bankrupt. The company's been closed cleanly, and she understands what it's going to cost her to pay this off over a period of time. Okay, and that's what happens when you act early with the right team. So, top mistakes that I see is top mistakes I see a director make. Mistake one is the appointing an insolvency practitioner without any preparation. Like, literally, you are handing over your business and your future to somebody you are not vetting. Like, they're picking the phone up off Google, they think everyone's the same, and they just go with the cheapest quote. Okay, you've got to look at things like directors' loan accounts. You've got to, they're going to want to know whether they can work with you, the insolvency practitioner, but equally, you need to do it. You need to be able to work with them. So check the reviews. There's very few scenarios where you have to sign up on that day. Very few. Okay. You can always sleep on it. You can always talk about your missus to it. You can always talk about advisors before you make a decision. If someone's pressurizing you to sign, that's a red flag. You've got to do your due diligence on this firm. Check out the reviews, check out their social footprint, check out what they put out there online. Okay, don't rush into it. Another mistake I make is see people make is they use like dodgy ways to get out of it. Like they sell their. You've heard this before. Someone will buy your debt-ridden company for £1, but you've got to pay them 5 grand. Come on, it doesn't sound right. It just kicks the can down the road. It's not something that's going to stand up, and it's not going to solve your problem. It's just going to get rid of it temporarily. Another mistake I make is people trying to strike companies off with bloody bounce back loans. You can't do that. You can't strike a company off with the bounce back loan. Another mistake is not understanding what the IP is there to do. Now again, there are some bloody good firms out there, some great insolvency practitioners, but they're not there to give you a cuddle. They're not necessarily there to support you. They're there to close a company down, conduct an investigation, get some queries answered, and return money back to creditors. So that's where we're really helpful, because we will stand on your side and advise you through the process. Now, I'm going to give you, like I always do, a 5-step plan for working with an IP. So first of all, understand your position. Like, get all your debts out there, understand your director's loan account. Okay, if you've got one, what's that insolvency practitioner going to do about it? How are you going to settle it post appointment before you sign up with them? Go through your age creditor list. Is there any personal guarantees that you've signed? If you've signed personal guarantees, what are you going to do with them once you go into liquidation? Okay, get a list, get all that information ready for the insolvency practitioner. Okay. On the run up to appointed an insolvency practitioner, document your conduct. Okay, what decisions are you making? Are you trying to protect creditors? Now, it can just be a case of emailing yourself, emailing your partner, emailing a member of staff as to why you're continuing trading. Step 3, be careful who you're paying. Stop taking big drawings out of the business. No last minute transfers to certain suppliers. Okay. Don't be giving assets away for cheap, because anything that you do while you're insolvent is going to be scrutinized. Step 4, appoint the right insolvency practitioner. Not all IPs are equal. Okay. Now, obviously, if you want to work with us, we will introduce you to one of the IPs we work with for years and years and years, who are fair. They are not aggressive. We will tell you everything before you make a decision. But if you don't like me, and that's fine, not everyone does, go out there and choose the right insolvency practitioner. Get a recommendation of someone who's done a similar job. Check them out on their review sites, or are they actively asking for reviews? And step 5, you want a proposal. You want to understand everything before you make a decision. And it might be a proposal in principle, because the insolvency practitioner can't really make decisions until they're appointed. That's what we'll do for you. We will give you a full proposal outlining any problems, okay, and how they're going to be dealt with post-insolvency. We're going to help you with PGs. We're going to help you with overdrawn directors' loan accounts. We'll help guide you through asset sales, and we're not going to charge you anything. Directors tell us all the time, I felt so much safer knowing that you was between me and the insolvency practitioner, and you put everything in writing, Chris. So I hope you've found this video useful. Okay. Appointing an insolvency practitioner without preparation is like walking into court without a solicitor. You wouldn't do that, would you? So don't do this alone. Okay. So here's what to do now. If anything that I have said to you today resonates, scares you, or intrigues you, pick up the phone. We offer free, independent, and impartial advice. My name is Chris Worden. I'm from Director First. God bless.